Y'all, welcome to one of my favorite happy places, being out in the forest, out in the woods, in nature. We're going into that season, or we're in that season now, where Earth is starting to come alive. And this is a golden opportunity of sorts, not just for me personally, but for all of us who are exposed to this kind of blossoming of nature. But in any case, big shout out to everybody who's been following me on Tribe by Noir. Those of you who've been tuning in consistently on a weekly basis, soaking in the information, making the life changes you need to make. For those of you who are new, this is Tribe by Noir. I am Remsen Noir, head coach at Tribe by Noir. And everything that I do here, everything that I discuss is all about deploying nutrition, training, and mindset techniques and strategies in order to achieve peak health, to live the life you really truly want to live and be in the body that allows you to do that. Whatever reaching peak health looks like for you. I'm here to provide the support and everything that I've learned in order to help you get there. This is what this is all about. I wanted to take some time out real quick to let y'all know that Tribe by Noir 3.0 has launched. This is the latest iteration with all the improvements, taking things on the platform to the next level. Not only do I provide training, diet plans, coaching calls, one-on-one coaching support, group coaching support, and all that, but I'm also offering community. Now, I do live streams for the public on a weekly basis, but that's not the only one. I also do member exclusive live streams. We go over meal planning. We get deep into training technique, how to maximize your training to get the goals that you want, right? We get pretty granular in those kind of streams. And it's a live call-in, right? So you can get on the voice chat, ask questions. We do a Q&A and all of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of support and camaraderie and valuable information that you can use from day one. So if that's something that you're interested in getting into, you want to take it to the next level, you want to get deeper into Tribe by Noir, well, I left a link in the description of this video for you to go and tap in and get started. Now, you can sign up and become a community member. You can sign up for coaching, and you can sign up for coaching with your own personal diet and training plans, as well as weekly one-on-one coaching calls with me personally. All right. So definitely take some time to check that out. And moving forward, we're going to get into the upcoming live stream. All right, y'all, what's going on? Welcome to Monday Night Raw. How's everybody doing? Let me catch up with y'all right quick in these comments. Yo, Ella, all right, you and I got beef. All right, because I reached out. Happy birthday, happy Juneteenth, all that. I was left on red. All right, we got problems. I'm just playing. All right, we got Miss D in here. What's going on? Good to see you. How's that voice doing? We in the clear or what? What's going on? Need to hit me with the update. Jamie Oliver, what's going on? Good to see you in here. Colleen, what's going on? Always making it through to the lives. Appreciate you. Carl Richard, what's going on? Good to see you in here. Got Miss Ella in here going back and forth with Miss D. You know what I'm saying? Those are the tribe folk. What we got going on here? Wasn't the diabetic started off the month of June with blood sugar over... What? Blood sugar over 1,000? You mean over 100? You said wasn't a diabetic started off the month of June with a... Do you mean over 100? Is that what you mean? I don't think I've ever heard of blood sugar being over 1,000. I don't know. Can you, is it possible to like have a gram per deciliter in your bloodstream? We're going to have to hear more about that. Yeah, that's right. Anishka, what's going on? Good to see you in here. Mark Donnelly, what's going on? Good to see you in here. Well, you say listen to me for 3 hours today. There we go. Look at that. I know I'm not shouting into the void. I appreciate that. Organic Grow, what's going on? Good to see you in here. Absolutely. We got the regulars in here. We got some new folk in here. We like it. Voice is clear. There we go. You said 1046 as in blood sugar. 1046. Yeah, we gotta talk immediately because I gotta know more about this. What's going on? We gotta look at your lifestyle. We gotta see what the habits is like here. Put a 1 in the chat if y'all hear me clearly. If I'm nice and loud, let me know. Because sometimes my mic likes to turn my sound down. I don't know why, but I'll be in the middle of talking. And I don't know what's turning my mic down. So I gotta be on the lookout for that. Let me do one more check. You got some 1s in the chat. We crisp. We sound good. There we go. All right. Well, you know what? This is the stream for folks who are deeply concerned with blood sugar. Right? So we're going to run the gambit today. I'm going to take this stream. We're going to really go through all the different elements that affect blood sugar and how to achieve better blood sugar control. And what is blood sugar control? And should the goal be to achieve better blood sugar control? And you may say, well, why wouldn't the goal be to achieve better blood sugar control? Well, there's a bit of nuance to this topic, right? Because blood sugar control is a thing that kind of happens by default when you're doing certain things the correct way. The best thing you can do is train your metabolism, and then as a result, you end up having better blood sugar control. The worst thing you can do is avoid things that you're typically told to avoid, right? So we're going to talk about that. You said no kidney issues, very dehydrated. Oh, okay. That's right, that dehydration. Oh, is that, we're going to talk about that when it comes to blood sugar control, let me tell you. Before I get started, let me know how this sounds. When y'all hear the term download a brown load, what do y'all think that means? Download a brown load. What do y'all think that means? I'm kind of curious. Yeah, I need to know because I don't want to be saying this and then it means something in my mind that sounds very different to everybody else. So yeah, what does that mean when y'all hear download a brown load? That's right, coach is great for assisting with blood sugar control. True. We're gonna talk about it all tonight. Hey, yes, what's going on? Good to see you. It sounds like you about to poop in the toilet. I was hoping nobody would say that. All right, so that's number 2. Because that's not what I mean when I say that. So I'm going to have to think of another alternative means. Go poo? Yeah, what's that? So any out here brown load? That's what y'all think? Download a brown load? You know when you download something, you're taking something from outside or from an external source, and then you're putting it on your personal device. That's what that means, download, right? So like if you say download a brown load, then that's like there's a brown load, like a load of poop, and you're downloading it, meaning you're taking it in, right? That's what that means when you think that's what it means. It would make sense if you said upload a brown load, maybe, not download a brown load, right? You don't poop. Everybody's saying poop. Okay, all right. So basically, when I say that, I don't mean poop when I say it. When I say download a brown load, I mean going outside in the sun and getting a tan and becoming more brown. I'm downloading the sun's rays to load my skin pigmentation with more brownness. And in short, it's called a downloading a brown look. That's what I mean by that. Download a brown load. I'm downloading a load of the sun's rays. And I'm loading my skin pigmentation with more brownness. It's a brown load. And y'all over here talk about poop, associating poop with my skin pigmentation. I'm a bit of okay. You know what? That's racist. All right, how dare you? All right, y'all are being R-worded in here. My brownness is not synonymous with poop. Okay, you're being racist. Shame. I'm trying to get brown tonight. All right, this summer I want to get brown. When y'all see me, all right, right now I'm a little bit of peanut butterish. I'm a little peanut buttery. All right, I got some almond undertones, you know, a little redness going on. I'm trying to be out here dark. All right, I'm gonna look anonymous. I'm gonna look like a silhouette. All right, y'all just gonna see eyes and teeth. That's how brown I'm about to get. My camera gonna have to work real hard to light me up. How about download a tone load? See, but the thing is, tone don't match with down. See, down and brown rhyme. So download, brown load, they rhyme. I gotta think of another thing now. I gotta think of another thing. All right, well, fair enough. What you say? I just asked my husband. He said the same thing. We have to study this. When people hear the term brown load, we gotta study this. I asked my missus this too. Yeah, I mentioned that term to her, and she thought the same thing. But she said she thought that because I was coming out of the bathroom, I guess, when I said it. So, but I didn't come out of the bathroom, meaning like I got off the toilet and then I said it. That's not what that was. I was opening the door, yeah, because I was moisturizing. I was putting on my natural lubricant before I went outside because I was about to be out there in that sun. It was like 100,000 degrees outside. So I had to get lubricated because you can't be going out there dry because then I won't get tan. I'll just get burnt. All right, I'll be speckled from radiation scars. You know what I'm saying? I'll come back bubbled up. So this is, should women with fibroids avoid tofu? It's a good question. So that's an interesting one because a lot of women with fibroid tend to have issues with tofu. However, interestingly enough, tofu contains chemical compounds that actually block excess estrogen. So on paper, it should seem like fibroids should be able to, tofu should be able to help shrink fibroids. However, the caveat is tofu is actually very rich in protein. And if you eat a substantial amount of protein in your diet, that can actually contribute to the growth of fibroids. It's a bit of an interesting thing there, right? It can swing either way. So generally speaking, I would suggest that women with fibroids should probably avoid tofu, just for any type for risk mitigation. What do you use to not burn? I don't like chemical sunscreen. Yeah, I don't own sunscreen. I haven't put on sunscreen since I was a kid. I use grapeseed oil and lavender oil. So just a few drops of lavender oil in grapeseed oil. So I'll either use grapeseed oil or avocado oil. I'll use like one of the, or coconut oil. I'll use those, right? Another one that also works is castor oil. I use castor oil on my face. And then I use the grapeseed oil or avocado oil on the rest of my body. You have changed my life in ways I can't describe. I'm very grateful for the information you provide. I appreciate that. Look at that. Hey, big shout out to you. That's right. Tuning in, using the information. Changing lives. That's what I'm trying to do out here. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to change lives. You know what I mean? Putting out the necessary information. All right. Let's get into it, right? When we talk about blood sugar control is a thing that your body does on its own, right? And your blood sugar control is going to depend on a lot of different factors. The more stressed your body is, the poorer your blood sugar control is going to be, right? The more inflammation and oxidative stress you're currently dealing with in your life, the worse your body is going to be at blood sugar control. Now, you'd be very surprised at like how many people have poor blood sugar control. Most people who struggle, for example, with like poor sleep quality, struggle losing weight, libido issues, things like erectile dysfunction, liver disease, kidney disease, things like this tend to have poor blood sugar control. Right? People with vitamin D deficiencies, magnesium deficiencies tend to have poor blood sugar control. Right? And basically, blood sugar control in a nutshell is how effectively does your body take glucose out of your bloodstream and send it to your cells to use for energy. It's essentially what it is, right? So better blood sugar control meaning your blood sugar sits in between, you know, like the 90s and 80s, somewhere around there, but sits in between, like, let's say 90 and 86 or something like this. And your body does a good job of keeping your blood sugar there in a fasted state, and even, like, let's say after you eat meals. So let's say you're normal, your blood sugar is at like a 90 or an 88 or an 86 or something. You have a big old meal loaded up with all type of carbs. Your blood sugar could spike up to like 160, and then within like 30, 45 minutes, it can come right back down to 90. Right? That's good blood sugar control. It comes down, bam, and it stays right there. Right? Adequately fuels your cells. Healthy appetite, all of this type of stuff. Good energy, right? Good muscular contractions, good sleep quality, good mental focus, etc. Right? It's good blood sugar control. Poor blood sugar control, your blood sugar is just by default 130, 145, 180, and it's just hovering around there. It's poor blood sugar control, right? Because your blood's just saturated with all this glucose, just sitting in there. Pushing it up, keeping it elevated over a prolonged period of time is not really coming down to what it should be. It's poor blood sugar control. Essentially, this is a metabolic traffic jam inside your blood, right? Now, typically, right, we refer to something like that as diabetes, right? Poor blood sugar control, chronically so. Now, your blood sugar could spike up all the way up to like 180. Does that mean you have poor blood sugar control? No. But if it spikes up to 180 and doesn't come down, that's poor blood sugar control. So you'll have people where they'll avoid blood sugar spikes. It's not really much. If your goal is to just simply avoid blood sugar spikes, this is a very myopic way to view things. Because blood sugar spikes aren't inherently negative things. It's just a product of just consuming food. right? The main problem is your blood sugar spiking too high and taking too long to come down, right? But it's very important to play the long game when it comes to improving blood sugar control. It's not about controlling your blood sugar from meal to meal. It's about having good blood sugar control for most of the days, weeks, and months, right? And there's a variety of different ways to do this. There are dietary strategies that you can engage in to improve your blood sugar control. There are fasting strategies to engage in to improve your blood sugar control. There's exercise strategies that you can engage in. And then there is also just general lifestyle habits. I would say out of diet, fasting, training, and lifestyle habits, you should be deploying at least 3 of these. Okay? So for example, 3 out of those 4 would be diet, of course, exercise, and lifestyle habits that are geared towards improving blood sugar control via stress reduction. Because the name of the game, if you want to improve blood sugar control, the best way to do it is stress reduction. It pretty much works every single time. The fasting is an option, but it's not necessary for everyone. It's not even necessarily beneficial for everyone, and can even be harmful. All right, so I gotta give that caveat up front. I think that fasting has its time and place, and I would recommend fasting for most, if not all, people at some point in time, but just at different times depending on the circumstances. Right? So the strategy that I would advise on would depend on what you've been doing and how long you've been doing it for. Every strategy has like a shelf life. You can deploy a particular strategy, and that strategy will be very effective for like the first 8, 12, 16 weeks. And then past that point of the 12, 16 weeks, you can really see the diminishing returns start to kick in, and that strategy can become less and less and less effective, right? So there's a matter of time, how long you do a particular thing, right? I like to do things within 12-week increments. It's generally how I like to do it. 8 to 12 weeks specifically, right? So 2 to 3 months pretty much, or on a quarterly basis. When I say stress, it's because a lot of people think, oh, blood sugar control is just about your food. Nah, no, it's not. Because your blood sugar can just spike up and be really elevated even though you haven't eaten anything. Your blood sugar can actually be high all day long during a fast. Where you haven't eaten anything, your blood sugar is just elevated all day even though you haven't eaten anything. This is actually pretty common amongst diabetics. I know because I see the numbers I work with. I have quite a bit of experience with helping diabetics. And in fact, sometimes for blood sugar control, well, actually not sometimes, most of the time with me working with diabetics, the diet is better for blood sugar control than the actual fasting. That's the twist, right? You go, wow, how is your blood sugar lower on the days that you're eating as opposed to the days that you're not? That doesn't make sense. I thought when you eat, that pushes your blood sugar up. Not necessarily. You can get blood sugar from your food, and you can get blood sugar from stored fat that's already been in your body. And if you have a high amount of body fat, your blood sugar will be perpetually elevated during a fast, even if your fast is 24, 36, 48 hours. Your blood sugar could just be perpetually high, just simply because you have enough body fat. And the fast is enough of a stressor that your body responds by increasing cortisol. And cortisol basically turns fat and converts it into glucose. And then you have glucagon, which is another hormone, right? So you got the glucagon released from your pancreas and the cortisol released from your adrenal gland. The glucagon increases glucose output from your liver, and the cortisol increases glucose output from your fat cells. So when you have an elevated deployment of these two hormones both simultaneously, they can push your blood sugar up unusually high even though you're not eating anything. So there's a lot of nuance to this. So when I say stress, well, because cortisol increases stress, right? And then when you fully emptied out your gut via gastric emptying, this signals glucagon. And then that can push your blood sugar up. Now, does that mean that you should avoid a fast? Not necessarily, because a fast serves a different purpose. You don't do a fast for better blood sugar control. That's not why you do a fast. So it's important to understand the intentions behind why you do something. But let's start with diet, right? You do your diet. Basically, the goal of your diet is to reduce stress and give your body the necessary resources to be able to maintain homeostasis and then improve on top of that. Right? So your diet is supposed to get you into recovery, sustain recovery, and then once your body has fully completed recovery, you go into a phase called overcompensation, where your body makes improvements to become better than it was previously after you've finished recovery. This is typically how it works, right? It's very important to understand that too, because when it comes to things like, oh, well, I want to improve my blood sugar by working out and exercising really consistently and really hard. Well, just understand this is a dose-dependent thing, because the more you exercise, the exercise can actually make your body worse at blood sugar control. It makes it worse. So you may say, well, I thought exercising brings your blood sugar down. It does, yes. But guess what happens when you stop? The blood sugar come right back up. Because the exercise is a stressor. So when your body goes through the exercise and the exercise depletes your blood sugar, how do you think your body's going to respond? Because your blood sugar can't drop too low while you pass out and die. You need a certain amount of blood sugar just to be able to not go in a coma. So your body will fight and it will overcorrect and over-respond. So your blood sugar can dip really, really sharply from exercise, and then those stress hormones kick back on. Boom, blood sugar back up. Right? It's a defensive posture. Okay, but let me not get too sidetracked. We get back to diet. If you are insulin resistant, if you are pre-diabetic, type 2 diabetic, even type 1 diabetic, sugar consumption is not a bad thing. Sugar consumption doesn't make you diabetic, and it doesn't make your diabetes worse. Right? So when people tell you, well, you should just cut carbohydrates out of your diet, I wouldn't do that. The reason why is because it's very important to understand that insulin sensitivity, the purpose for insulin sensitivity is to be able to eat carbohydrates and have the carbohydrates break down into glucose and then get shuttled to your cells adequately. Well, if you don't eat carbs, then there's no reason for your body to really maintain an adequate level of insulin sensitivity. So cutting all the carbohydrates out of your diet and avoiding sugar like the plague can actually make you more insulin resistant. So a lot of people, they do a keto diet, they do a carnivore diet, and then they go and they eat a handful of grapes and their blood sugar shoot up into the 300s. And then it's like, well, damn, how did my blood sugar shoot up into the 300s? I only had 10 grapes. It's like, well, you've made yourself insulin resistant. You've made yourself physiologically insulin resistant from poor dietary choices. Now, of course, that effect should be transient, sure, for a normal, healthy person. But the longer you engage in a dietary strategy like that, that insulin resistance can be a lot more long-term as opposed to short-term. It'll be anything but transient. And I've spoken to those people, and it takes a long while to be able to reset. So if you want to improve your insulin sensitivity, the quickest way to do that would actually have a high carb dominant diet, to eat more carbs. People have this misunderstanding. They go, well, when I eat a banana, my blood sugar shoot up into like 220, 260, something like this. So I avoid bananas. You can't isolate a food and then blame the food for your blood sugar. Because if all of the foods that you normally eat contribute to the insulin resistance, and then you eat a banana and your blood sugar blows up on you, you can't blame the banana and not the rest of the food that you ate beforehand to create the conditions that then came into effect when you ate the banana. Right? It's kind of like, with people who are like Republicans and they complain about like the tax system. Oh, my taxes done ran up. My taxes are super high under Biden. Biden ran up my taxes. It's like, well, it's Donald Trump's tax plan, actually, not Joe Biden's tax plan. You're blaming Joe Biden because he was the one that was in office, but it's not his tax plan. That's not an argument in favor of either party. All I'm talking about is typically the effects that you see today are a result of things that you did prior. It's not the most immediate thing that caused the conditions that you view to be unfavorable. You got to go back. That's what I'm talking about. So basically, the reason why I say to have a high carb or a carbohydrate dominant diet, the reason why is because typically if you have insulin resistance, it's because of a traffic jam, a metabolic traffic jam, right? Fat is an auxiliary form of energy. Your body can't really use fat for energy. It has to convert it into glucose in order for it to be used for energy. Carbohydrates are a primary source of energy. The carbohydrates break down really quickly into glucose, which is an immediately available source of energy. Fat is not. So all of the fat that you currently eat, if you was to just right now, you was to just eat like a stick of butter right now, or whatever kind of butter people eat, you just eat butter right now, your body would take all that butter and just store it. Can't really use it for energy. So what happens is all this fat hits your gut, and your pancreas has to release glucagon, and your body has to release adrenaline to really ramp up lipolysis to be able to burn stored fat and use that for energy, and then take the new fat you just ate and put it in its place. However, this process takes a lot of time. So as a result of eating all this fat, you can have a lot of fat floating around in your bloodstream to saturate your bloodstream with fat. If you dump carbohydrates on top of that, well, you develop a traffic jam because the fat moves slower. You can't blame the sugar, you have to blame the substrate, right? It's kind of like not bathing for a week, but you just spray like perfume and cologne on yourself. Or like trying to spray Febreze on like dirt on the surface of a dirty couch. It's like, well, the couch smells, you had to clean it. Now it just smells like Febreze and nastiness. You're just putting something on top of the nasty smell rather than cleaning out the nasty smell. Right. So in a nutshell, the poor glucose control in terms of insulin resistance is typically a result of an oversaturation of fat in your liver and your bloodstream. Right? So when you store a lot of visceral fat, subcutaneous fat, and you store a lot of fat inside your liver and your bloodstream is saturated with lipids, you're going to have high blood sugar, just perpetually sustained. And then when you throw the oxidative stress on top of that, your body responds to the stress by raising your blood sugar even more because of the cortisol. So this is the nuances of it, right? These conditions become worse over time to the point where you start having elevated cortisol at night, and so you get restless at night, you can't go to sleep. And then you wake up too early in the morning and you feel groggy because the cortisol's hit you even harder and waking you up. And it becomes this vicious cycle, right? Now, if you have a carbohydrate dominant diet, essentially what you do is you reverse the zero-sum game in your body. If you have a carbohydrate dominant diet, basically what happens is the carbs and whatnot going in increases the thermogenesis in your body, increases lipolysis, because this is typically a diet that is very high in things that are conducive to an increased rate of fat metabolism. So, for example, a whole food, plant-based, high-carb diet, especially one that is raw, is high in things like potassium, manganese, magnesium, copper, vitamin C, and B vitamins, right? Things like this are all conducive to significantly increasing fat metabolism. So you're putting these things in your body, and then there's fiber, and fiber improves blood sugar control, because fiber slows down the rate at which glucose hits your bloodstream. And then also the antioxidants within these plant-based foods significantly reduce stress. So that helps to dial down the cortisol. And then these are alkalizing foods, which bring down the acid formation in your body. And that helps your adrenal glands to relax, and that allows the cortisol to come down. And then lastly, when you eat these carbohydrate-rich foods, you get a kick of insulin, and the insulin basically does a better job of shuttling the glucose to your cells as a result. So all of those things combined, you get better glucose uptake, you get better fat metabolism, and you get a reinforcement against chronic oxidation and inflammation. Right? Stress reduction, more energy, better hydration, all that type of stuff from having that kind of diet. Of course, there's an order to how you do it. So for example, what you typically want to do is have your most water-rich foods like fruits and things like this earlier in the day. One really easy way to start with this is to have, let's say you do fruitarian till 12, right? So let's say you have all fruit from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. or 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then you have like a salad or something like that around 2 or 3 o'clock with some fermented greens like sauerkraut or kimchi or something like this. And then you have more of like a warm, savory meal with things like kasha, quinoa, basmati rice, red lentils, chickpeas, black beans, things like this, split peas, whatever the case is, mung beans, right? With some more greens and whatnot, a real savory, starchy meal. You get a decent amount of protein. You can season it up with all of these strong antioxidant-rich herbs and spices, right? Curry, turmeric, garlic, peppers like cayenne pepper, black pepper, white pepper, basil, fennel, thyme, right? Parsley, these types of things, cumin. And then you'd be done eating at 6 o'clock and get to bed at 10. This can be like a kind of like an example. Another one could just be, you're fruitarian until 4, right? So it's just fruit all day. And then your last meal is more of a savory cooked meal. Right? So that's a high raw diet. And then of course you can do a fully raw diet also. So there's 3 ways to go about it. The reason why you would do the fruitarian approach throughout the first half of the day is because basically the fruits are a really good mechanism to really hydrate your body. Your blood sugar will be significantly improved just by being adequately hydrated. Right? So rather than drinking a bunch of water to the point where you're urinating out all of your electrolytes, it'd be a better idea to eat your water, right? Structured water via fruit. Your most water-rich foods. So your fruits that you're eating would be somewhere in between 80 to 90% water. Right? So my top go-to is to be things like water, cantaloupe, honeydew, citrus fruits like tangerines, tangelos, pomelos, grapes, mangoes, right? Real watery foods. Kiwis. Kiwis are really good. That's a big one. Mixing kiwis and berries together Chia seeds, oh yeah. Hemp seeds, some leafy green vegetables, tangerine slices, oh yeah. That's good stuff. You just load up on those fruits. An abundance of fiber, water, vitamin C, B vitamins, potassium, copper, magnesium, manganese, the works. You flood your body with all of this energy and water and antioxidants. And what happens is your blood sugar trends down throughout the day as you eat like that. So you have one big serving of fruit, you get your initial blood sugar spike, your blood sugar comes down a lot quicker. The second fruit bowl, your blood sugar spikes back up, but not as high as the first time, comes back down, and it happens like this. Boom, 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 right? So you get like this ABC weight trending downward, right? You're more likely to get more of a significant blood sugar spike from eating more of the starchy foods, right? You may not. Some people, they do. It just depends. The starches are more dense, right? They're more calorically dense. Way more carbs, way more protein, right? This type of thing. It may be great for your blood sugar, but in the beginning, this is where you may have it a bit more rocky when it comes to your blood sugar. But day 2 will look better than day 1. Day 3 will look better than day 2. Day 4 will look better than day 3, and so on and so on, right? Week 2 will be better than week 1. Week 3 will be better than week 2. And you get this trending down in your blood sugar, right? So when you sustain that kind of eating style, high raw fruits and vegetables throughout the first half of the day, one savory starch cooked meal at the end of the day, carb rich. We're talking about carbohydrates making up anywhere from 65 to 70% of your macros. Right? On a fully raw diet, it's a bit different, right? A fully raw diet, you can have more fats in there, right? Things like avocado, coconut, nuts and seeds, things like this. But typically, generally speaking, I would say if you really want to improve on blood sugar control, whatever meal you have, try to have like no more than 20 to 25 grams of fat with each meal. That's a generally good guideline. I would never tell you to just completely avoid fat consumption. I would not tell you to do that. You could do that short term, where like you cut all the fats out of your diet, maybe for like 4, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like this. You can even do it for 12 weeks. You'll drop weight real quick, and your blood sugar numbers will improve very significantly real quick, right? But for the long-term sustainability, I wouldn't advise to really cut out all fats, because the fats are beneficial, right, for certain things. You have fat-soluble vitamins, A, E, D, and K. And so basically, let's say, for example, you have leafy green vegetables, which are typically very rich in vitamin K1. These are foods that are very rich in, let's say, beta-carotene, which is a substrate for vitamin A, right? The carotenoids in the leafy green vegetables. And they contain, small amounts of vitamin E. So when you mix some healthy fats like avocado, hemp seeds, chia seeds, pumpkin seed kernels, sunflower seed kernels, cashews, walnuts, things like this, when you add in a little bit of those beneficial fats with the leafy greens, you get a better absorption of that beta carotene, the alpha carotene, the vitamin K, the vitamin E. Right? And those things are really important for things like hair, skin, and nails, brain function, hormonal balance, right? For women, this is really important because you need a good amount of fat in order to maintain estrogen production, progesterone production, even, right? For men also, testosterone. You need fat for your sex hormones. So I'm not really a big fan of cutting all your fats out of your diet. You can do it short term, but I wouldn't say, long term to any significant degree. So there's a caveat there with that. So basically, generally, let's say your first meal was like 2 to 3 pounds of melon. Your second meal could be, let's say, some type of smoothie bowl. where you do a variety of berries with some chia seeds, hemp seeds, plant-based milk or coconut yogurt, something like that, and you make a smoothie bowl. Third meal could be more of like a fruit salad, where you're mixing in kiwis, tangerines, pears, leafy green vegetables, hemp seeds, pumpkin seed kernels, sunflower seed kernels, cucumbers, things like this, right? Grapes. And then your final meal would be more of your savory meal. That's a general outline of like a day of eating, how you can do it. There's a lot of other different ways to do it, right? You could do mono fruit meals, right? First meal is just like 3, even 4 pounds like watermelon. Second meal is just like, 24 ounces of grapes. Third meal is like mango, just a bunch of mango and pineapple. Right, and then your final meal could be like more of like a salad, leafy green vegetables, avocado, hemp seeds, cashews, all your fats and things like that. Right, so you can have all your water-rich fruits and everything throughout the day, and then you get all of your fats at the end of the day before you go to bed. You can do that too. That's another way of doing it. It's like a good fully raw approach. I think that is where I would cover it with diet. So basically, carbohydrates, 65 to 70% of your macros. You could go to 75% of your macros also, right? Protein intake, you don't really want like a high protein diet necessarily when you're trying to significantly improve insulin sensitivity, because the excess protein can contribute to other issues. So if you're eating too much protein, and let's say you have kidney health issues, or you have liver issues, or you have some type of gut health issues, excess uric acid and whatnot in your body, the extra protein can actually make it worse, right? You can have elevated liver enzymes and all types of stuff. So you kind of want to be careful with that, cover your bases. It varies from person to person. It depends on your lifestyle and stress levels and things like that. But it's something to consider. So generally speaking, I would say to start with somewhere around 1 gram of protein per kilogram of lean mass. If you're insulin resistant, pre-diabetic, or even full-blown type 2 diabetic, and you have a goal where, let's say you want to maximize muscle growth, and so you want to maximize protein intake, well, I would prioritize improving the insulin sensitivity first. Because if you really want to maximize muscle growth, you have to deal with the insulin sensitivity first. You have to deal with the blood sugar control first. Because if you are insulin resistant, your body is chronically inflamed, there's a lot of oxidative stress. This will put a low ceiling on how much muscle you can build, because likely this will negatively affect your testosterone level, and it will cause you to have excessively elevated myostatin, which puts a check on muscle growth. It can inhibit muscle growth and increase fat formation in your body, right? Lipogenesis. All right, so increasing that protein consumption could also lead to an increased level of fatty liver and elevated liver enzymes. And then if you have kidney disease, that can raise, your creatinine. It can raise your bun and things like that with your kidneys. Okay, so health first. And likely, if you're type 2 diabetic or something like this, if you're type 1 diabetic, it's a bit of a different story, right? Because basically your pancreas is not really secreting an adequate amount of insulin, right? So it's a different conversation. Because you could be type 1 diabetic, it doesn't necessarily mean that your body's insulin resistant, right? That's mainly referring to your pancreas not producing enough insulin. It's a different story. As a type 1 diabetic, you can be insulin resistant, but not necessarily insulin resistant. It's a different thing, right? So there's a lot of caveats, right? I'm not going to keep y'all up here all night going into every little detail, but I'll give that word of advice there. Plus, most people with these type of metabolic issues typically are pretty far away from their genetic ceiling. So it's a lot easier to put on muscle mass than you think. You don't need as much protein. You don't even need to train that much. And you shouldn't really be training that much either, because the training is a stressor, and if you keep training and you keep training rather aggressively, you just add more and more heaps of stress onto your body, which makes the insulin resistance worse. All right. So getting into the fasting element, right? Fasting is the fastest way to drop body fat. And fasting is the fastest way to empty out your liver. Because now here's the thing. Let's talk about your liver for a second. You hold a certain amount of glucose in your liver, and you hold a certain amount of fat in your liver. Right? Basically, one of the best things that you can do is deplete your liver glycogen. When you deplete your liver glycogen, basically now this incentivizes your body to tap into stored fat inside your liver. If you are insulin resistant or even diabetic, it is highly likely that you've accumulated excessive levels of fat inside your liver. Right? So fasting allows you to deplete liver glycogen, right? Stored glucose inside your liver, and then really tap into stored fat inside your liver. So now you can bring down the amount of fat storage and glucose inside your liver. So essentially, this acts as a liver cleanse, right? The fasting. So let's say you take a fasting day, and then you can fast for 24 hours, 36 hours, however aggressively you want to fast. So you can do this once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, right? Circumstances vary depending on how aggressive you want to go and for how long. But during the fast, you're not eating, and basically this isn't for blood sugar control. That's not what this is for. This is for emptying out. What people typically do is they're like, well, I'm going to cut my carbs and I'm going to replace my carbohydrates with fat and protein. Like, okay, well, you just end up with more fat storage inside your liver. Right? Because basically liver, when you eat fat, it gets stored first and your body does anything else with it. Right? So if you put in 60 grams of fat and then you burn 60 grams of fat, well, basically you're at a zero. You're at a zero in terms of progress there, because that's a one-to-one replacement. There's no progress there. However, you put in 0 grams of fat and you burn 60 grams of fat. Well, guess what? Now your body now contains 60 grams less fat. You can multiply that out through the course of 24 hours to the point where you can burn like 1,000 or 1,500 calories worth of fat per day. Right? It's a substantial amount of fat that you can really decrease over time. One of the keys to really reducing insulin resistance long term is to diminish the amount of fat stored inside your body. The mitochondria, which are the energy producing centers of your cells, or the energy producing organelles of your cells, as you diminish the amount of stored fat in your body, your mitochondria improve very positively towards this. The mitochondria become better at converting glucose into energy. So when you have a faster turnover of glucose being used for energy in your body, your cells will be more incentivized to become more insulin sensitive and take up more glucose. You become more energy efficient the more insulin sensitive you become in this regard. So the fasting is necessary to get rid of the traffic jam. Not necessary, but highly beneficial. You can achieve this without fasting. It's just going to take longer. The fasting is a bit more risky, but there's a lot of upside to it, though. Right, so it's actually highly, highly beneficial. I don't typically suggest like really long fasts, like 3 or 7 days or 14 days and all of that. You can and achieve very good benefits from doing it, but it's a lot of risk. And if you do it, you probably should only do these types of things. Like a 3-day fast should probably be maybe a maximum of 4 times a year. That's pretty aggressive. If it's a 7-day fast, probably once or twice a year. And if it's a 14-day fast, maybe like once a year. Right? Because it's very depleting on your body. You lose a lot of your body's resources when you do a really long-term fast, right? So something like that is not a magic bullet where you can just keep doing it whenever you feel like it. Right? Because it is a massive stressor, the fasting. But you can fast for 24 hours at a time, 36 hours at a time, and make very substantial benefits from doing that. In order to fully empty out your digestive tract, it'll take like around 36 hours to really fully empty out. For some people, it's faster. It depends on what you ate and all that type of stuff. But 24 to 36 hours is a good amount of time to really fully empty out. Now, this is beneficial for not just fully emptying out your liver, but fully emptying out your actual digestive tract and your colon. And then you can compound this and improve these efforts with certain herbs: basil, burdock root, bladderwrack, right? Sarsaparilla, yellow dock, right? These different types of herbs: ginseng, ginkgo, right? Matcha, ginger, parsley, chamomile. And these things all act to really remove waste and whatnot out of your body. Intracellular waste piled up in your colon, right? Excess chemicals accumulating in your liver as a result of neutralizing all types of acids and toxins and things like that. It can really empty out during a fast. And it can add years onto your life. Okay? And of course, the autophagy that your body engages in from the fasting really helps to break down and recycle old proteins into new usable resources. And whatever can't be recycled is then removed and excreted from your body. All right, so the fasting is highly beneficial. All right? If you can do it, definitely you should. Some people, it's a little different because they go 12 hours without eating, and then like their blood sugar drop too low, they start losing their vision, they get lightheaded and headaches and all of that. Then you kind of want to pull back from that, right? And really train yourself to really slowly ease your way into a fast. But before you even do that, I would say to concentrate on being more well-fed first. Get your energy levels up, improve your sleep quality and all of that. And then pursue that autophagy and the emptying of your liver through exercise. I think that would be a safer route to do as opposed to a long-term fast. I think that as you become more fit, as you improve your VO2 max through exercise and things like that, and you become more resistant to the negatives of a dropping of your blood sugar, your body will be more resilient from being in better shape cardiovascularly and whatnot, and then you can pursue the fasting as a strategy from that point, right? So you may have to really default to another strategy, right? So moving on from the fasting, this leads us into exercise. There's different types of exercise. There are corrective exercises. There are exercises that train your nervous system and improve strength and muscle mass. And then there's exercises that we deem as cardio, which are basically exercises that improve metabolic health and endurance. Y'all hear her rummaging through the cabinet? It sounds like a little kid throwing a fit in the background. She's so cute. She got her little arms reaching up, trying to reach things. Sometimes there's a lot of shelves in the cabinet. So like sometimes I want to like prank her to mess with her a little bit and just start putting stuff in the higher shelves. She can't hear me too. So I'm over here talking crap about her. She can't hear me because she got her ears plugged up. All right. Anyways, I get sidetracked, man. I'm sorry. I see a squirrel run by, and I'll get up out this chair and leave the stream. It's bad sometimes. All right. Exercise. So yeah, those are the categories of exercise, right? There's a hierarchy. Which exercises you should be doing the most and which ones you should be doing the least. All right. The exercise you should be doing the most is the cardiovascular exercise. You can organize your cardiovascular exercise in terms of zones. So you can have zone 1, 2, and 3. Zone 1 would be the type of cardio that is very low effort. You can sustain it over a very prolonged period of time. It's the type of cardio where I can do a stream like this and talk to you in the same way I'm talking to you now and never run out of breath. Right, let's say that's that zone 1 cardio. Zone 2 cardio is the one that requires a little bit more effort. You can talk during it, but you don't necessarily want to because it just makes it a lot more challenging and highly uncomfortable, as far as being able to talk and run your mouth and do the cardio at the same time. And then there's zone 3, which is basically I have to put all of my effort into controlling my breathing so that I don't stop. Okay? This is going to be like my peak heart rate. This is where your heart rate is in between like that 160 and 180 range. Right? 180 is probably a little too much. You gotta back off at that point. That's a bit much. All right. Your zone 2 is going to be somewhere in between like your 120s and 140s. Right? Somewhere around there. Now, the more intense an exercise is, the shorter in duration it should be, right? So if you're going to be doing like a zone 3 cardio, where it's like you're just peaking out at the heart rate hardcore, you could be doing like a total of like 20 minutes a week of that. Okay? You can do more than 20 minutes a week of it, but you probably shouldn't, right? Because it's a stressor, and the more you train, the less recovery you do. So you kind of have to pick and choose. There's a very specific reason for why you would want to do that type of cardio, and it's because you're trying to train yourself to be better at a particular sport or something like that. Okay? Most people don't really need to do that type of cardio, especially if you're like insulin resistant or diabetic or something. I wouldn't really do too much of the zone 3 stuff. Zone 1 and 2 is probably where I would stay, more so leaning towards the side of zone 1. Go for a walk, go for a hike. Right? And I think if you go for a walk, or you walk uphill, you go on a hike or something like this is a great way to oscillate back and forth between zone 1 and 2. Then you have your corrective exercise. Your corrective exercise is also known as movement hygiene, or at least that's what I call it. And this is having more mobility at your joints, more shoulder mobility, better posture, more hip mobility, and this type of thing, right? You can sit comfortably in a squat, right? You can fully extend at the hips. You can do a deadlift properly without your back shrimping up, this kind of thing. Movement quality, right? Even like the way you run. Like you see some people in the gym and they're running on the treadmill and they sound like they have no toes. It's just all heels. Bang, 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 bang. She's on the treadmill, right? And the treadmill just struggling. They're just crushing that treadmill, right? Y'all ever heard this? It's distracting. I'm well, not so much now, but I used to work in a gym, right? The duration of my adult life, training people as a personal trainer. And that would drive me nuts. It's just somebody on the treadmill and they just tearing up their knees and the treadmill, just going hard, running like they got no toes, smashing up on the treadmill, right? My knees would hurt just hearing it. Bang, 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 bang on the treadmill, right? That's poor movement hygiene, right? Because when you're running, I should be able to like slide a sheet of paper under the heel of your foot, right? It shouldn't just be heel striking. That's you don't do that. So movement hygiene is very important because basically the more movement hygiene you do, the least likely it is that you're going to get injured from poor form. So it's really important for the maintenance of your joints. And it's also technically zone 1, right? I also, when I write training plans, I categorize this as daily mobility. It can be challenging, but it's the most challenging. It can even feel like cardio, but it'll mainly feel like that though if you have poor core strength and all your joints are tight, right? Like all your tendons and ligaments and muscles and everything are like bridge cables, right? Just zero elasticity, everything just locked up. Then yeah, it can be real challenging. And then finally, you have your resistance training, right? So your resistance training and your resistance training should be like zone 3, right? Because basically, my whole thing is you maximize for intensity, which means every set you do, you work it, you run it to failure. right? Your resistance training, you don't need to do much of it. We're talking about like 60 minutes a week, maybe 90 minutes a week. You typically don't need more than that. The more resistance training you do, this isn't necessary. It can lead to more muscle growth for most people. But for people who are like very insulin resistant, diabetic, chronic inflammation, other pre-existing health conditions, not so much. Now it's a fundamentally different thing. You're more likely to lose muscle mass doing high volume training as this type of person because of all the pre-existing stress and whatnot and the lack of recovery. It can make your sleep worse. It could destroy your mental health, completely kill your motivation, and you just end up falling off. When I coach people, right, I do diet and training plan and weekly calls, right? That's how we do it in the 12-week personal coaching, right? I know when your mental health and whatnot is taking a hit because you stop showing up on the calendar for the weekly call. So I'm like, uh-oh, you've been overdoing it. You ain't been managing the stress, and you know it, so you don't want to talk to me because you don't want to bear the bad news. That's right. So you know who you are. You got to get on the schedule. Stop playing. So you don't need to do a whole lot of exercise. As a general rule, as far as your exercise week is concerned, you could do, like, let's say you do intense resistance training. Let's say Mondays and Fridays, or Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Okay. If you're doing 3 days a week, and each workout can be anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. So we're peaking at 90 minutes at the top end. If you're doing a body part split, then that works more so for 3 days a week because it's less challenging on your nervous system. If you're doing full body training, 3 days is a little aggressive. So I would probably say to start at 2 days full body, and then if you have it in you to do a third, then you do a third. But you listen to your body first and foremost. If you're doing an upper lower split, you only really need 2 days. 1 day upper body, 1 day lower body. All right. You can do an hour to an hour and a half of a day of zone 1 cardio, basically going on a walk. All right. And believe me, this is really good for detoxification, fat metabolism, higher levels of vitamin D absorption and synthesis, all that good stuff. Walking is like the best exercise for fat metabolism. So if you really want to improve your insulin sensitivity, the walking is a big part of this. If for whatever reason you can't do the walking because of some type of injury or something like this, or you're carrying a lot of weight on you and it's just really wearing on you, the next best option is something like biking or some type of cardio exercise where you can do it seated, okay, or fasting. You can't really do the exercise, then I would say you lean into the intense resistance training a couple times a week, and you can get into more of an aggressive form of fasting to really get the weight off you in a timely fashion. Okay, so that's a good option there. Lifestyle habits. We got to lead with the most important, which is your sleep schedule and sleep quality, right? Sleep duration and sleep quality. It's not just about how long or how much sleep you get, how many hours of sleep you get, but when you go to sleep and when you wake up. So getting to bed earlier and waking up earlier, that's your best bet. So it is absolutely a beautiful thing if you go to bed at like 9 o'clock, wake up like around 4 or 5 o'clock. Beautiful. Right? Or even if you go to bed at 10 o'clock, you wake up at 6. Beautiful. Right? You wake up with the sun. You wake up out of bed. You do your daily mobility, your movement hygiene for the first 15, 20 minutes of the day. Right? You put the appropriate amount of clothes on. You put your shoes on. You grab your keys. You walk out the door. You get in your hour and a half of walking. And enjoy that sunrise, right? Birds chirping in the morning, all of that type of stuff. It's a whole vibe. You can do it every morning. Take the time for yourself. Of course, look, as long as this goes with your work schedule, right? As an adult, we got pesky bills and jobs. It is what it is, right? But we got to figure out a way around it. I go for walks early morning or I go for walks at night. I'm trying to get brown. I'm trying to get as brown as possible this summer. So I'm getting out there against most people's better judgment when the sun is at its peak. All right. I'm going to war. I'm like, burn me up. Let's get dark. Let's get grilled. I'm not doing that every day though. I might do it every day, but maybe not. I don't know. It depends. I ain't trying to get burnt. I've been able to do this. I've been gradually getting more brown. I've been responsible with it. I'm not out there for too long. 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. I'm going to be out there early morning tomorrow, streaming to the folks on TikTok, out in my favorite place. So for those of you who are on TikTok, you follow me there. Also, I'm going to be out. I'm going to be on TikTok tomorrow, 9 a.m. All right. Y'all get to see my hangout spot. It's beautiful. In any case, so lifestyle habits, right? Sleep and then getting fresh air. Okay. You got to get outside. You got to get outside. It's a big deal. Getting outside will help you to have better blood sugar numbers because you get fresh air. Okay. This is real important. You spend a lot of time indoors. You're just breathing in HVAC air and potential mold in your living space. All right. A lot of people got mold in their living space because here in the U.S., your walls are made out of sheetrock. You got a bathroom. There's humidity buildup in the bathroom, and mold loves moisture. Okay. If you had a leak in a pipe in your wall or something like this, it's real easy to get a mold problem. Leak in the roof, you don't even know. So as a hedge against any of those potentialities, you spend more time outside. Of course, you get seasonal allergies and things like that. You got to take some precautions around that. But granted that you don't, getting outside, right? Highly beneficial. And as a hedge against the seasonal issues, you have a more raw diet. I used to have seasonal allergies. I don't have seasonal allergies anymore. My eyes used to swell up. I used to get dry mouth, snot pouring out my nose. It was bad. I would be debilitated. No more seasonal allergies. All right. Creating a vibe. Music, smell, right? Warm lighting in your home. Open, clean space. Organize your place. More green plants in your house. Create a vibe and bring down your stress. Meditation. Right? Read a book that makes you feel good. You're taking in important information. Okay. Hugs. Hug your dog. Hug your cat. Hug your husband. Hug your wife. Hug your kids. Even if you have kids who are little assholes. Oh, come on. You're all over me. Like, you better hug me. It ain't a game. Life isn't permanent, fool. Give me a hug. Because life is... Don't take it for granted. It ain't a game out here. But anyways, hugs and cuddling and all of that releases a hormone called oxytocin. Right? It's a beautiful chemical molecule released from your brain, makes you feel real good and reduces stress. Right? Your brain light up like a beautiful Christmas tree. You feel all cozy inside. And then you feel that feeling, go ahead and check your blood sugar and watch what you see. Check your blood pressure, watch what happens. Hugs. So that could be a good reason to get like a cat or a dog or whatever the case is. Right? Petting, hugging. Right? That's like what my mom When I go back and visit my mom, one thing I like to do with my mom is I like to rub her head. I rub my mom's head. It annoys the crap out of her, but I do it because it's healthy. It's a healthy lifestyle habit, okay? Rub your mom's head. And for those of us who are fortunate enough where our moms are still alive, right? Reach out and rub your mom's head. And then moms, when you get around your kids, reach out and you rub your child's head. Nice, beautiful, gentle, circular motions. Then check your blood sugar and check your blood pressure. Watch it happen. Right? Back rubs, head rubs, hugs. All right? Reach out and touch the people you love, basically. Right? Your spouse, husband, wife, or whatever. Just be rubbing up on each other. It'll improve your marriage too. Just be rubbing up on belly rubs, back rubs, head rubs, forehead kisses. I'm into forehead kisses. Look at her. No, she's protesting. I got to force forehead kisses onto her. Look, the forehead kisses, they keep me alive, okay? You're going to deprive me of forehead kisses. My health can go sideways. I can have a heart attack, okay? So if you really care about me, you'll let me do it. I need it to live. All right? What have I ever done for you to think so ill of me? All right. So So I think I'll leave it there. I'm not going to hold y'all all night. I know I've been droning on for the last hour and 10 minutes. And y'all took in a lot of information here, right? But this is all the most important stuff. And let me get with y'all in the comments here, because I know I've said a lot. Who's still with me here? Y'all still with me? Y'all sleeping? Y'all tuned out? Let me catch up. That's right, playing music, breathing exercises. That's another one. Box breathing. 3 breaths in, 1 slow, deep breath out. That's right, Miss D. One of the wisest people I know. She has that deep ancestral intelligence. Miss D is like one of these mystics. She's like a mystic. She's like a village elder. Do you think it's okay to lift weights in the morning? Yes. That's my favorite time to do it. I don't necessarily like training in any other time but the morning. I'd prefer to do it in the morning. Maybe there's times where I do it in the afternoon. I don't do it at night. I used to do it at night back like, in my early 20s. Because I worked all day and I couldn't train in the morning. My man, what's going on, brother? Good to see you make it. So what do you say about these guys who swear by keto and high-fat diet? I mean, that's a whole nother thing. I mean, if we could really get into it, we could talk about the ones who swear by it until they start having the heart palpitations and liver and kidney and electrolyte issues. But I'm talking about sustainability. People are like, oh, I want to do a crash diet to get super lean. I'm like, all right, comes with a cost. Sorry I'm late, but how do you deal with insulin resistance if you already went over it? Oh, yeah. This whole stream, I was talking about insulin resistance and blood sugar control and all of that. That's right. You have to rewatch this. Yeah, let's see. I'm wanting to prepare raw lentils. Yep. I should soak and sprout them. Yes. Yep. Soak and sprout. And then blend them up with spices and salts. You definitely could. You know what? But I don't put sprouted lentils in a blender. Well, I haven't done that. I like to just snack on them. Hey, thank you for doing this, bro. Yeah, for sure. You know, let me tell you something. Y'all in the Discord, when y'all ask me to cover a specific topic, I'll jump on here and cover it. I'll either do it here on the Mondays or I'll do it on the Thursdays. So when y'all ask, I deliver. I don't just be up here just talking about whatever I just feel like talking about. I take requests. Better than low quality, underripe, off-season fruit. What's that? What's that about? I recommend eat the seasonal fruits. That's it. Yeah. I would agree with that. Yep, eating with the season. Yeah. That's right, folks. Double tap the. Oh no, that's not here. Like the stream if you like the stream. I was gonna say double tap the screen to like the stream, but I don't know if it works like that on YouTube. So yeah, like the stream if you like the stream. Hit the like button. If the blood sugar spike doesn't last long, will it still play a part in elevating A1C? Not really. It's kind of circumstantial, right? It depends on how long the blood sugar spikes last, how high they get, and how often you have them. Well, you said, so I can't have Popeyes? This is the wrong stream to be on if you went into Popeyes, man. Let me tell you something. If you struggle with Popeyes right now, oh boy. Popeyes is the high blood sugar, high blood pressure food, okay? That's the liver and kidney disease food. Alright? That's the atherosclerosis food. That's what that is. If you want to wreck your metabolic health, because everything Popeyes is all fried. It's all deep fried. Everything deep fried, and I'll never look at Popeyes the same again. Everything just all fried up. I used to eat Popeyes too all the time before I was vegan. I was smashed with Popeyes, and for me, I don't have a good understanding of like portion control, so I'll just eat until ain't nothing left. I don't know when to stop. I'll even eat past capacity. I'll just be eating even though I'm full because I'll just continue eating because there's still more food left and I don't like leftovers. It's not that I don't like leftovers. It's just that if there's some left, that just means I'm not finished. I need to finish. Is that normal? I need to finish. There's a movie. Have y'all seen this movie? It's called The Accountant. And I watched that movie and I'm like, oh my God, that's me. He starts freaking out because he needs to finish. He starts some kind of puzzle or some kind of project or something like that. And if you don't let him finish, he don't handle it well. He starts flipping out. I'm like, oh my God, that's me. I need to finish. I liked it in the first movie. I feel like in the second movie of The Accountant, they kind of changed the way he talks. And it's like a performance. It's a little too overperformed. I didn't like it. It seemed like he was trying to play the role of a person who was like real neurodivergent. It seemed more natural in the first movie because he talked like a normal guy and everything like that. But he just doesn't pick up on like social cues and stuff very well. But he wasn't like doing a voice. I don't like that. Please stop that. He didn't talk like that in the first one. So I don't know why they changed it in the second one. It's kind of weird. It was a little jarring to me. I'm like, why is he doing that? Did you watch the second one of the Accountant? Did you watch the second one? Kind of curious. How do you control blood sugar while working overnight? Pretty much just everything that I've been talking about tonight on this stream. So you definitely got to rewatch this stream because I covered diet, fasting, exercise. It's almost bedtime for me too. It is almost time. That is right, y'all. Since I've been on my watermelon fast, all I smell is fried chicken, and I haven't had chicken in 2+ years. What, does the watermelon smell like chicken? You know what you do? If you got some all-purpose seasoning in the house, you just huff. You just smell just smell the all-purpose seasoning. Yeah, you watch both. There you go. Yeah, I don't like that. Right? How do you feel about that? What they did with the second voice, where they changed his voice up and his speaking, the way he speaks in the second one. That's kind of jarring to me. It was such a big change. There we go. All right. I was kind of tired today too. This is week 3 for me of like my alternate day fasting. So I'm gonna run it for like for the next 12 weeks. I've been leaning out quick. I got to do another stream too, just dedicated to talking about my alternate day fasting strategy. So I'm leaning out pretty quick, dropping the body fat. I've been taking some videos, recording my progress. I'm gonna share those in a bit. And the cool thing about the alternate day fasting is you save money. Because it's like 3 less days out of the week that you don't eat. So it's less food that you have to buy. And when food is really expensive, you save a lot of money. It's great. I love it. So you didn't like the second movie at all of The Accountant? Yeah, I think the first one was better than the second one. I understand why they had to do the second one. There were certain things that I appreciated about the second one, though, right? Because they elaborated more so on like the whole organization and the team that was helping him to be able to do the things he was doing. In the first movie, it was kind of like, it just seemed like he was just the one guy who was just doing everything kind of just autonomously. And the second movie kind of highlighted, it brought in other characters, the relationship between him and his brother, the people who were actually helping him on the back end. So you get to see like this big organization of people on the back end that were like him. And it showed you like his greater vision or purpose in life. So it kind of like went deeper into the character. So I appreciate those elements of the story. It could have been stylistically put together or written differently. There could have been a much better way as far as like his affectation, you know, his character and things like that. I did like the relationship between him and his brother. I got a kick out of that. And I kind of relate because I like, even with me and my friends, I'm not to that degree, right? Where I'm just like, you know, you don't miss me. You don't, what's going on? You don't never call me. I don't call people enough. That is true. I don't do that. I'm not like, you know, leaping at any opportunity to go out and socialize, but I'm not bad at socializing. I'm very good at socializing. I just don't jump at every opportunity to socialize. Dare I say, I actually kind of avoid socializing. I don't, you know, if you gave me an option, like, hey, you want to come out and hang out with a bunch of people? Not really. It seems like, I don't know if I have the energy for that. I think it requires a lot of energy for me to go out and socialize with people. I feel like it requires a lot of energy. It tires me out. I'll do it. I enjoy it. It's a lot. It takes a lot of energy. Like you said, it just seemed more like a comedy. Yeah, it did kind of seem more like a comedy. The first one is a bit more serious. The comedy part of it, I'm like, it's a little too Disney-ish to me, you know. Especially like if there's like a lot of violence in a movie and then they try to add in like the comedy stuff to it. Most movies don't do that well. So I'm like, you kind of have to pick one, don't, you know. if you're gonna do the morbid humor thing, I mean, this is you really have to thread the needle with that, right? I get it, like they're trying to show off like certain parts of his personality with his brother and everything. But yeah, a little too. I feel like it was a little too overdone, a little too much. We just said, I'm worried about peeing out my electrolytes I just consumed. Why, have you been hitting the water aggressively? Have you been doing a lot of water drinking? 1 bag of honeydew, 1 bag of cantaloupe, and 1 bag of watermelon. When you say a bag, how many ounces per bag of like how many total ounces of melon? Because you're not going to be urinating out all of your electrolytes if you've been getting a lot of your water from food. Now, if you're just profusely just drinking like 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons of water a day, I'd probably say, yeah, you gotta want to chill out with that. It's a bit too much. You got to turn the blender on. Basically, she's like, you've been streaming for too long and I gotta eat, all right? So shut it down. All right? Time to make some noise. She's getting me back because I always say I gotta run the blender. She hates the sound of the blender. But y'all can't really hear the blender. So that's kind of cool. That noise cancellation. Uh-oh. Is my camera frozen? What is that? That was so weird. It was like partially frozen. Alright. How can I remove edema from left lower leg? It's just in one leg? If the edema is in just one leg, that seems like there's an issue going on with that leg. So I would probably it seems like there could be an injury. If it's just in that one leg, that implies like there's some kind of injury or some type of cardiovascular damage or something like that in that leg or that hip. If not that, it could be like an issue or some type of injury with your lumbar spine. So it could even be like a slipped disc or something like that, or a slight herniation in your lumbar spine. That's what that sounds like to me, if it's just in one leg. And then I would also have to ask, if you just have the edema in one leg, it could be how you're sitting. So if you're working a desk job sitting for very prolonged periods of time, and it's just affecting one leg, it could be because of how you're sitting, and you may have like a lateral curve in your spine or something like that, where you're putting more pressure on one side as opposed to the other. Does the tribe membership include consultation or plans? Basically, it depends on which one you get. Right? So one basically comes, so basically by the way, the community membership one, that's half off right now. So it's at $25. The normal price is $50. So if you're going to get in on that one, definitely it's half off right now. That one basically comes with like just hours and hours of, I don't know, I won't say it like that, but basically it has all my pre-recorded live streams that were exclusive for members, where we go over live meal planning, recipes, training, all that type of stuff, right? So basically with that, you get access to daily coaching support from me as a member. So basically you join the community. If you ever have questions or anything like that, and you get access to the weekly group calls. So we do group coaching calls every week. So you get access to those on top of the replays for everything, as well as the group chat and direct messaging access to me as a community, as a member. The second one, the 12-week mentorship, is basically you get weekly calls every week, and you go also get access to all the courses. So my high raw vegan nutrition guide, my alternate day fasting guide, my Tribe Flex training series, and my mindset and self-development video series, right? So you get those as well as the weekly calls. And so on the weekly calls, we go over training strategy, we go over diet planning and all that type of stuff, whatever you feel you need help with. And so we go over those and we meet every week. And in the 12-week personal coaching, you get your own personal diet plan and training plan that I make according to what your needs are, along with everything else. All right. Oh, okay. There we go. Truck driver. Yeah, it's from how you're sitting. Yeah, if you're a truck driver and you're having the left leg issues, it's how you're sitting. You probably have a lot of tension and pressure on that leg from the driving. So driving creates these asymmetries because of where your gas and brake pedals are. So you'll tend to, so that'll cause more tension on one side of the body as opposed to the other. So a lot of the times for truck drivers, it is on the left foot in my experience. So basically some daily mobility stuff would definitely help with that. You have to open up and really stretch that hip, right? So you have to open up and stretch your psoas and your piriformis. And you got to stretch that quadricep and the ankle, right? So you basically, that leg is just at a bent position for far too long. You're putting too much pressure on it. Sandwich bag size. So like my understanding of a sandwich bag size is like, what is that? Like 12 or 16 ounces per bag. So that's not too bad. Okay. All right. Did we get it all, folks? Did we cover it? I ain't gonna hold y'all for too long. I appreciate everybody tuning in for the Monday Night Raw. We do these every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And I'll be on TikTok Tuesday, Thursday, 9 a.m. And then Thursday for members is 7 p.m. Eastern. All right. He said, I'm going to book a call soon as I can get settled in, brother. Yeah, for sure. That's right. Whenever you're ready, we get on. Absolutely. All right, y'all. Much love to y'all. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit the link in the description of this video to book a call with me or become a member or join the Tribe newsletter. All right. So in the newsletter, I send out the notifications for when I go live. All right. So definitely get on that and I'll talk to y'all soon.